Do you know that back before I started leading women on epic outdoor adventures and before I had a career in the outdoor industry, I was the most mediocre Army officer the world has ever known, and I wore combat boots and camouflage for 17 years. When I finally said goodbye to the Army, there was one thing that I was certain of. I never wanted to see anything that was camouflage, brown, or green again. But I confess that there are actually a few things from my old Army kit that I still use on a regular basis. Stay tuned because I'm about to tell you the unlikely heroes of my Army past that are still part of my regular outdoor adventures. Number one, my Woobie. Just the name brings back, well, mostly good memories. This thing is pure magic. If you've ever been in the military, you know you love your Woobie. It's actually called a poncho liner, although I never lined my poncho with it. But a Woobie is basically this lightweight, soft, compressible blanket. The Woobie is great for its versatility. It's a fantastic extra layer in your sleeping bag or a perfect standalone blanket on warmer nights. You can fold it up and create a comfy cushion when you're sitting down or even sleeping on the ground. But for those of us who served, the Woobie is more than just gear. It's a familiar and comforting item. A little piece of home when you're out in the field. It's like a teddy bear for America's finest fighting men and women. And you can see I've had this Woobie since I was a private in the United States Army in 2000. I even had my name sewn onto it, and it's woodland camo, so you know that I'm old school. Now this lovely number is the civilian equivalent, and I actually have two of these. We already established my aversion to all things camo, so my Army Woobie lives in the trunk of my car for emergency purposes, and I tend to use the civilian version a little bit more because I like the colors. But yes, my Woobie. If you've served in the military and you had a Woobie that you loved and you still have the Woobie, let me know in the comments below. Next up, parachute cord. Now, when you see those trendy paracord bracelets that everybody wears except for me, I don't wear them, I don't like them. It's almost hard to believe that this very cord was one of the things that literally held my parachute together when I was jumping out of perfectly good airplanes as a young paratrooper. We called it 550 cord. What that means is that it has a minimum breaking strength of 550 pounds, so this stuff is seriously strong. It's a pretty reliable piece of equipment, which is essential when you're in the wilderness and failure is not an option. And the uses, oh man, the list is practically endless. Securing gear, tying down tents and tarps, fixing broken straps, repairing clothing. I've used it as a hair tie. It's essential for shelter building and lashing poles together. You can even use it for navigation as a pace counter and making some ranger beads. And of course, the bracelets, which can be unwoven and used in an emergency situation. You can even use the inner strands as finer thread or fishing line. It's incredibly durable. What do I usually use my parachute cord for? Well, emergency bootlaces. I always keep a little bit of parachute cord in my first aid kit, and honestly, paracord is right up there with duct tape as one of my personal top 10 essential items. Number three, my trusty Army compass. I actually bought this compass myself when I was a young ROTC cadet. The one that was issued to me was, well, not super awesome. And I was really struggling with land navigation. I didn't know how to read a map. I didn't know how to use a compass. I have a horrible sense of direction, and land navigation was my big weakness. So I needed to get really good at reading a map and really good and really precise with my compass work. So I thought, if I buy my own compass, I might be motivated to actually get good at land navigation. So I spent like $99 on this compass, which was a big splurge for a poor college student. And the other thing I did that really helped was I started dating a guy who was really good at land navigation, and we spent a ton of time in the woods together, navigating, using maps, using compasses, and it was really fun, and he's now been my husband for almost 20 years. If you're struggling learning how to read a map, use a compass. I highly recommend finding a friend who's good at that. A military compass might not be the absolute best compass on the market. We have a lot of compasses at my house. My husband used to teach backcountry navigation courses. But for me, when I head out into the backcountry with a map and a compass, I tend to just grab my old Army compass. Maybe it's a little bit of nostalgia. Maybe it just brings back a lot of really good memories. But this compass is my old friend, so I'm keeping it around. And number 4, my green Army notebook. You know you're an Army officer when you simply cannot bring yourself to throw away 17 years worth of old green notebook. I can open up these things and tell you what was packed in a Connex for a shipment to Iraq, which one of my soldiers got a DUI, and trust me, it was a lot of them. I can open up a notebook and tell you which embedded reporters were with my unit in the Saladin province of northern Iraq in 2010. I can even tell you what the most boring staff meetings were based off the amount of doodles and swear words that I have written in my green notebooks. Each one of these notebooks reads like a journal, and it's actually kind of fun to go back and look through them. Well, the tradition continues, and I confess that as a civilian, I still love writing in green Army notebooks. In fact, the script for this very video is in an Army green notebook. If you've ever been an NCO or an Army officer, you probably understand this, and I'm a little sentimental about these notebooks. And you can mock me publicly all you want, I don't care, but basically everything I write down for Hike Like a Woman goes in an Army green notebook. Next up, name tapes. Okay, this one isn't really me. This is all my husband. He's a former infantry officer. My man uses name tapes as bookmarks. They used to go on his uniform, and now they go in his books. It's a little quirky, but hey, whatever works. It's always a surprise for people when they find out that I used to be in the Army, but I thought it'd be fun to take a little walk down memory lane with you today. So if you've been in the military, I'd absolutely love to know if there's anything from your service that you still use as a civilian. And please, please, please don't tell me that you eat MREs, because you'll lose like 10 cool points.